Just a minute, ladies and gentlemen. I think something is happening.
All right, welcome back to Radio Wasteland, and our guest today is Samuel Hofman. Welcome back, Samuel Hofman. How are you doing?
I am doing fine. How are you today? Are you enjoying the sun?
Well, I mean, it's a little disheartening seeing how we need more rain. It's like, so everybody's talking about how beautiful of a day it is, when we really probably should have some more gray days.
We've got a few real good rainstorms here the last couple of days. It's been great for Montana. We do need the water because we supply the water for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
We're actually, in my section of Montana, we're okay. Sort of. We
definitely need the water. We definitely need the water here on the West Coast. I'm in southern Oregon, so...
that's right. I always think you're on the East Coast. I never know why. Being Earth the brain.
Yeah, no, like 2 years ago or something, a town burned down next to me.
Yeah, I was worried about that again this year. I was wondering whether or not because we had the Great Lolo fire, and that was 7 miles away from me, and we had that what's been about 3 years now, and I was hoping we don't have another repeat of that. But of course, we're going to see that in Washington and Oregon this year, Northern California again. It's because they've just predicted there's going to be an addition to the 30 more years of this super drought. And of course, we've talked about this in the past, and it's not just Earth, it's all of the planets are heating up. So, we're going to be expectedly more dry in some areas and more wet in other areas. And we know that the weather patterns have changed. And, example of that is the tornado that just went through Louisiana the other day. And it shows you the axis tip because the tornado alley has literally dropped down from now Oklahoma to Louisiana, where prior to that it used to be Nebraska, Oklahoma, and then Texas. And of course, I mean, it was a huge, nasty storm, and we got pictures coming in showing the base cloud of close passing Nepenthe again. So there's a lot more to this huge weather events that are going on than people are attributing, especially, of course, the media and the weather services.
I think about this a lot, and I spend a lot of time concerned about the weather. A lot of people spend a lot of time concerned about the environment because of the weather, or just concerned about the weather in general. My daughter's in Texas, and she had to shelter in a gym just the other day because of tornadoes. And, you talk about how it's because of the Nibiru system coming through, and I'm always like a little confused as to if you're saying that we should still be concerned about doing something about the weather, or if it's just out of our hands.
Well, it's basically out of our hands. What we need to do is plan for it. I've talked about the 180-day cycle, and as of literally today, we are starting the 180-day cycle. Now, I don't know if you had an opportunity to view the Russian video that I sent you this morning.
I've looked at quite a few of them, and that was one of them. Let's talk about it a bit.
Okay. Now, these objects, these asteroids underneath the planets, are now around the two gas giants, Uri and Attu. Attu has a very major moon, and I believe Uri has quite a few, but they're within its atmosphere. It's harder to see. But anyway, there's a whole series of asteroids, and we see them every day, and we see them month in, month out, year in, year out. And we started watching them all the way back in 2010, 2011 from a tiny little dot. So we've watched them come in, and they have a specific pattern that repeats itself nonstop in the skies around the world with regular sightings, which is how we also know that they are real. And this asteroid group is between Earth and these passing planets. So they're also causing, that was what that video I sent you was, a picture from Russia, and it's the lead object and the red asteroid and the spiral asteroid, and they're all intermixing, and they self-illuminate due to a static discharge, just like 4-foot office tube lighting, when you've got two electrical poles and a large planet and a large planet between, and you've got these little physically attached bodies, or the gaseous particles. They illuminate, and that's why the lead asteroid in the OCG is object cluster group that we always talk about. Illuminates, and that was the video that I sent you. And this is also part of the 180-day cycle. Now, we've watched these asteroids when they go by in close proximity to the other smaller planets. We've seen discharge in the atmospheres and everything for many, many years, especially around Attu and Attu's moon. where there's these upward lightning storms that go up, because lightning does not go up. It never did until, of course, the planets got here back in 2010, 2011. And which is also some proof. And we never used to have purple lightning, which is also a representative product of the passing planets and the object cluster group and everything else. So to wind up the whole story, the 180-day cycle is when they are the closest to Earth, and they affect our weather, and they literally drag through the atmosphere. We talked about this in another show last year, where a close pass of the asteroid group literally ripped up an entire region, and that was where that long, drawn-out tornadoes and everything all the way across the United States for 200, 300, 400 miles, whatever. However, I can't remember exactly how long it was.
Yeah, I remember.
But the debris field, and this is where I always try to point out to everybody, the debris field on most storms, if you're talking about a tornado or whatever, your average class EM 4 or 3 or whatever, it's only going to drag it up to the top of the weather pattern. Most weather like that runs upward of 12,000 to 15,000 feet max. Even with a supercell, you might hit 20,000 feet with a big, big supercell. But the debris in that storm that we also documented and watched and took note of was ripped up to 37,000 feet. And that means that something way above all of our atmosphere was pulling the debris that high, because there's no way a tornado at 12 to 15,000 feet is going to spew debris to 37,000 feet, which proves that it's an object above us that's pulling and creating this cylindrical updraft ripping away of atmosphere into this tornadic-like expression. Do you follow me?
I do. Yeah.
Or did I lose you?
Oh, no. Yes, I'm sorry. I said I did. You must not have heard me.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I barely heard you in the background. So the 180-day cycle in these close proximity asteroid groups and multiple smaller bodies, but beyond the ones that we regularly watch, and there's thousands of little ones. When these close passes occur for the next 3.5 or so, 180 days, how months that is. We're going to see increased events of extreme weather, from major rainstorms to major electrical storms to major windstorms to all kinds of crazy stuff, including the crazy that goes along with affecting our brains and the animals and people around us, and et cetera, et cetera. So we're in for a real show, and I was even talking about that to the people yesterday on Montana Skywatcher 2, where if you look in the west, to the west northwest at sunset, you are going to literally see some of the best show that we've ever seen, because Saturn and her yellow moon are visible so large over the top of us now, and then Nibiru is behind that on the right-hand side of the setting sun. And they're so huge now, and you can see this fire-like, almost base cloud pattern that goes around Saturn's yellow moon, compared to Attu, for instance, which makes Mamantis clouds. Attu's moon, they make these huge Mamantis clouds. But anyway, they're a smaller, finer, fire-like pattern that encases this very large yellow moon now. And it's, of course, showing up in worldwide sightings for months now, because we're literally going underneath Saturn and her yellow moon and Nibiru now, where we have never done so prior. We have not been this close to Nibiru, even on her first pass back in 2011, 2012, where they rose up from underneath us. So now we are literally, for the first time, in a real close proximity, as they're beginning to rise above us and start heading away, because we've gone past the halfway point of the term. And I'm thinking, another 8 or 9 or 10 years, and then the system will be, more gone. I mean, how do you weigh that? Because, we started seeing it in 2009. But anyway, I'll let you hit your next question.
I came here to give you these facts. But if you threaten to extend your violence, this earth of yours will be reduced to a burned-out cinder.